Standing Committee, Public Safety Committee. Today is Monday, October 1st, 2018. Is now called to order. It is 6:08 p.m. Roll call. Alderwoman Shanika Henson.
Present.
And yours truly, Rhonda Pendell Charles. And Alderman Payon is on his way. Number 3, business before the committee, approval of the minutes, PSC 060418, approval of minutes for regular meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. B, ID-278-18, Annapolis Police Department update, new community outreach programs, and crime statistics. Fine, Lieutenant Krause, how are you today? And we just got started, and I see Alderman Payon is in the house. How are you, Lieutenant Krause?
Good, Lieutenant Kevin Krause, Annapolis Police Department, standing in for Chief Baker tonight. We apologize for not being able to make it tonight. He had a fire permit.
Thank you.
Start with city crime stats.
Yes, sir.
Overall, this year, violent crime is down 18% compared to last year. Total property crime is down 9% compared to last year. And overall crime is down 10% compared to last year.
Okay, is anything up from last year? Oh, your mic.
Well,
Is your mic on? Give this to us one more time.
all right. Lieutenant Kevin Krause, Annapolis Police Department. Your crime stats are violent crime is down 18%. Total property crime is down 9%. Overall crime is down 10%. You posed the question of anything that's up,
Yes, sir.
and it looks like the only crime that is up this year is motor vehicle theft, which is up 39%, which is a total of 11 more theft from vehicles.
Okay, so theft from vehicles
I'm
is
sorry,
in the same category
it's motor vehicle theft.
Okay.
Theft from vehicles is actually down 18%.
Oh, great. Okay. What do you attribute the theft of vehicles, the increase?
You know, a lot of the vehicles that are being stolen are actually like mopeds, and they fall under the same parameters. So we've been having a lot of mopeds recently stolen. So I think that's what's kind of building up the extra thing. And it seems to be condensed mostly in the Eastport area.
Okay. When you get a chance, let us know what the percentage of mopeds versus other vehicles. That would be good to know.
Absolutely. Okay, as far as some events, so back in the beginning of September, we welcomed all the kids back to school. We were at all the elementary schools. We were at Bates and Annapolis Middle School. We were at the Phoenix Academy, Monaco Academy, and Mary Moss Academy. The officers were there in the morning. They gave kids high fives when they first came in, just welcomed them back to school. We also did back to school nights. That was for the parents mostly. We were at all the schools for that. The last ones were last week. We were at all the schools just talking to parents and any concerns that they had. We've also started DARE again back in the middle schools. So we are at Annapolis Middle School and Bates Middle School, and with the help of Anne Arundel County Police, we are teaching DARE to all the 6th grade classes in both of those middle schools.
Wonderful.
Officers are involved on a daily basis. They have to go and visit schools, and they are going into the schools visiting, just walking around the schools each day, talking to principals, teachers, saying hello to students in the hallways, having lunch with the kids during lunchtime. So it's a good interaction with the kids and the officers. Character counts actually started today, October 1st.
Right.
We wanted to wait a month for the kids to get in and get settled with the teachers before we started our character counts. We are currently at 5 different schools this year. It's the most schools we've ever done. We're doing all 3rd grade classes. We're at Mills Parole, Georgetown East, Eastport, Annapolis elementary schools, and then Monaco Academy. AFD and OEMC are also participating this year, and they're teaching 2 classes.
What is it again?
The AFD and OEMC
Oh,
are helping
okay.
out,
Oh,
this
great,
year.
great.
So they're actually teaching 2 classes this
Wonderful.
year too.
Okay.
So like I said, that starts this week, and that will go for the entire school year. So we'll be in there basically teaching the kids about all 6 pillars of the characters. Upcoming event this week, we have Coffee with a Cop, which is the National Coffee of a Cop for the entire nation. They celebrate it on October 3rd. So we'll be at Starbucks on Main Street from 9 to 11. We'll be at Starbucks at Bay Ridge Avenue from noon to 2. And we'll be at the Dunkin' Donuts on West Street from 15:45 hours till 5 p.m. Other events going on that were in the paper recently. We have announced recently that we are establishing a department with the LGBTQ, and we have a new liaison who is Sergeant Amy Miguez, and this will basically be facilitating law enforcement engagement with the LGBTQ community with reporting of potential hate crimes. The liaison will collaborate with various police divisions, including investigations, recruiting, education, assistance, and interaction with officers, residents, businesses, and organizations about LGBTQ issues. The position is based out of Community Services, where Sergeant Miguez is currently positioned. And the liaison will focus on the public safety needs of the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and their allied communities. The goal is to establish this position is to gain the trust of the community and seek out information that leads to the closure of hate crimes and violent crimes within LGBTQ. And we would like to thank the founder of the founder of the Annapolis Pride, Jeremy Browning. He actually came in and assisted us with organizing this and getting this liaison set up.
Question, have we had any of those types of incidences in the city?
We have in the past. I don't recall any recently
Okay.
at all, but a lot of those kind of crimes are underreported. So we're hoping having the liaison and building the trust, then we'll be able to develop more relationships, and hopefully, if crimes like that are occurring, that we'll be notified and we can investigate them.
Certainly. Fine.
Okay, and that's
Okay.
all the police department has for updates.
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you all instituted Handle with Care?
We have. Okay, so Handle with Care we instituted, I guess, at the beginning of the school year. And so basically, when an incident occurs now, the officers are to directly contact Anne Arundel County Police. They have an officer who's set up to handle everything, and we just basically give them the name and the DOB, and then they will contact the school directly and let them know about Handle with Care.
Okay. I don't know if my fellow colleagues are aware with Handle with Care. Or you please explain it. to
Certainly.
them.
So Handle with Care is a program that the school system has developed with the police department. Basically, we're to notify them anytime a child is involved in any sort of situation. It's not like they're being arrested. That's a totally different notification. This is when they're involved in either maybe a death in the family, or if they were a witness to a crime, or some sort of other issue that the child may act out during the school day. And basically, the only thing the teachers are told is that this child is to be handled with care, that there was some sort of significant incident that happened in this child's life over the last 24, 48 hours. And this way, if the student does act out in some way, they have a little bit of a heads up. The school system itself will not know what the incident is. The only thing they'll know is that this child went through some sort of either emotional stress or some sort of stress in his life or her life.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant Kraus.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions? Alderman Payon, any questions? Alderwoman Henson? Thank you.
May I?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It sounds like, or what you reported is that crime is down in all but one category. Do we have any understanding of what's the contributing factor, how we got there, so that we can continue the effort?
Like I said, the main reason the crime is up right now is because we've been having a lot of mopeds being stolen recently.
With the areas where crime is down, it's significant. Overall, down by 10%, and some of them down by 18%. Do we know why it's down by those numbers?
You know, I would like to say it's because officers are out there and they're out doing foot patrol and they're out there, they're more visible in those areas that we used to have a lot of issues with. Knock on wood, of course, now that I say this, we haven't had a homicide this year, which is huge compared to what we've had in the last year or two. Even our shootings are down by 50% this year, which is huge strides compared to the last couple of years where we've had major issues with shootings and homicides. So overall, all I can say is that the officers are more involved. We're in the communities a lot more. We're on foot. We've been doing a ton of programs over the summer, the last 2 summers with the kids. And we've been doing, movie nights. We've been doing a ton of different things inside the communities. So I'd like to say that that's the reason, but to give the exact reason, I couldn't tell you.
Well, probably doesn't hurt, so please keep up the good work.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Any anecdotal, information, either from parents? I know that the summer camps, you had an increase this year and you had a few extra movies. So any anecdotal, information that you can share?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Next on the agenda is ID 27918, Annapolis Fire Department update, opioid status, grant to purchase fire extinguisher trainers, status of projects, Chief Steele Award present at next council meeting. Chief Stokes, Deputy Chief Simmons, good evening.
Good evening, members of the Public Safety Committee, Chief Stokes from Annapolis Fire. Start off with, you should have your third quarter report from the Annapolis Fire Department per your request.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm going to skip the opioid status for right now and let Captain Edwards come up and give us an update. So next thing, you should have a packet of a fire extinguisher training prop that we're able to get with the grant. So this is a federal grant. It's for $20,000. Our matching portion is 10%, ended up being $900. The actual grant was for $19,491. So this is actually a very nice, cool device, to be quite honest. If you go on the website, it shows a little demonstration of this device.
Excuse me, Chief, could you check your mic?
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, this is a very nice device, very high tech. Allows us to train folks on how to use a fire extinguisher without having to actually spray, discharge a fire extinguisher. So it's very nice. We're really looking forward to getting this and starting to do. We'd like to train all city employees with it, and then start training business owners, business employees, on how to use a fire extinguisher. So we're looking forward to getting this. I would encourage you to go to the website. They have a cool demonstration on the website how it works. Status of the projects, I'm happy to tell you that we met with the Finance Committee about some of the outstanding projects going on in the city, CIP projects, and the Eastport Fire Station is now moving along. So some of the renovations to the bunk room has made great progress in the last couple of weeks. The actual renovation to the ladies' bathroom, all that's out on contract. That should be coming back very shortly on bids. The roof project at the Taylor Avenue Fire Station has been awarded, so that project should be starting very shortly. The heating upgrade to the Eastport Storage Building is near completion. Should be done in the next couple of weeks, I hope. So things are starting to move along. So I'd like to give a shout out to the city manager for pushing these projects along. She's been very helpful with that. So things are starting to happen. So I'm very happy to see all those things happen. Chief Steele Award, that's also tied to this committee. A couple of years ago, the committee wanted to develop an award that they could have input into. The chair, Chief Steele, recognizes the first paid fire chief of the Annapolis Fire Department, Chief Charles Steele. And it's a leadership award. And this is a fourth year?
Yes.
Fourth year that we've awarded it. So it's personnel, or nominated by our personnel in the station to nominate people. And the voting is, I have a vote, Chair of the Public Safety Committee has a vote. We have one citizen, which this year was Vic Pasco, who's the president of the Eastport Civic Association. Union president has a vote, and who's the other vote?
I think that's it.
It's 5 votes. But anyway, so we had the person selected, and we present that award as we always do at a council meeting. And just for the record, the gentleman to my right was the first recipient of the Chief Steele Leadership Award. So, and he get a little plaque and all. So it's very nice. It's very held in high esteem in the department. So it's a very nice award. Also, for your information, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So all of our firefighters will be wearing special T-shirts with pink writing for breast cancer awareness. T-shirts are provided by the union, pays for the T-shirts. So it's a nice, and then all the money they raise from the T-shirts they donate to the breast cancer at Anne Arundel Medical Center. So it's great. So if you want to buy a T-shirt, they will sell you one for like 20 bucks. I think it's like 20 bucks. Something like
Okay.
that for a T-shirt.
All right.
So it's nice. It's a nice program. They do it every year. On the monthly report, a couple things I just want to bring to your attention is that we had our 7 new firefighters graduated from the County Fire Academy, and they will be sworn in at this coming council meeting by our acting city mayor. That's coming up this on October 8th. Is what noted about the doing background checks for volunteers. So we have some volunteers at Eastport that are pretty much administrative members. Up to this point, they have been pretty much administrative. They haven't gotten too much involved with the public, but they have a change of leadership there, and they have a new president, and he's trying to do more community pub ed outreach programs. And part of the open house on October 20th is with a partnership with Eastport Fire Department, and they're involved in that. So we did one. They did an event about a month or so ago. I can't recall what the event was, but we had to start thinking about it and thought, if they're going to interact with the public, we should do background checks. So we're going to go back and do background checks. And the volunteers are fine with it. They understand it's for their protection as well as our protection. For this day and age, you just don't know. So we're going to start doing background checks. So that's being done as we speak. As you know, we have a deal with the Eastport Volunteer Fire Department. I get money from the state. It's commonly referred to as 508 money. That's a bill, was 508 bill, was years ago. We get about $90,000 a year from the state for fire apparatus and equipment. But by law, I have to give the volunteers 51% of that money. So we made a deal with Eastport to buy the medic unit. So we gave them $45,000 a year. They went out and bought a medic unit. They used the $45,000 to make the payments on it. That'll be paid for, not this year, but next January. So we're trying to convince them to buy a fire engine on the same deal. Do a 10-year loan. We give them $45,000. They put up the difference, and they make a 10-year loan to buy a fire engine. So I think we're that close to get them to do that. So that'd be good for us. Save the city $500,000, and to get us a new fire engine, a new fire engine to fleet at basically no cost to the city because it's state grant money and Eastport Volunteer Fire Department money. So if they do that, it'd be good. Last thing I want to bring to your attention is, just so you're aware, we have an overtime train wreck coming.
Have a what again?
Overtime train wreck.
Okay.
Our overtime budget is taking a whipping right now. We have a lot of people. I have 3 people detailed to the military. Right now I have 2 females that are pregnant. I have a 3rd one starting today. Matter of fact, October 1st. I have a 3rd one coming on light duty. We have 4 vacancies on top of that. So right now I have 13 what we call soft vacancies, where we actually have people, but they're not in the positions because of various reasons. So all that's generating a lot of overtime. So my overtime budget is taking a whipping right now. So,
Have you talked to our city manager about that?
yes, we've talked, but unless we can do something better about planning when they have families and when the military deploys people, things are beyond my control. It's part of the game. But right now it's a mess. It is, and then on top of that, in this union contract this year, they got a clause where if this governor declares a state of emergency, for the first 8 hours of the shift they work, they get time and a half during a state of emergency. So when we all did that, we were assuming that it would be a state of emergency that impacted the city of Annapolis. But the governor declared a state of emergency for the hurricane because they had the resources deployed to other states, but there was an actual state of emergency in effect for the state of Maryland. Therefore, our folks were getting paid time and a half for the first 8 hours for like 6 or 7 days. It cost us $40,000. So we're trying to get a side letter with the union to clarify that a little clearer, that it has to impact the city of Annapolis. But just an unforeseen issue and that money comes out of my overtime budget. So So right now, I should be about 25% spent in overtime. I'm about 40% spent in overtime. So that's what I have. Got something to throw in there?
Deputy Fire Chief Kevin Simmons, Director of Emergency Management, and I can sum up my quarterly report in 3 words: flooding, flooding, and more flooding downtown. It just seems like I've been here 8 years and I've never seen so much flooding downtown, and a lot of it has to do with Hurricane Florence and the way she was turning in the Atlantic, pushing water up and into the bay, and we had tidal flooding, and then we had torrential rains behind that, which we have freshwater flooding. So I think we've either shut down streets close to a dozen times or altered traffic patterns about a dozen times. So that was a pretty busy period for us. But on the last page of the third quarter report, we participated in the Annapolis Rising Benefit Concert in the planning stages. That's not unusual, but what's unusual about it is that we were able to do it within a week's time, and that's to throw something like that and put it together within a week's time was extraordinary for my folks to get that together. On August 16th, we hosted our annual citywide preparedness exercise, which, guess what, was a hurricane. It was very timely. I think, Madam Chair, you were there for that one.
Yes, I was.
For Hurricane Florence, we got the city ready when we thought it was going to impact the city of Annapolis. We worked with Public Works to distribute 56 tons of sand, sandbags. Typically, businesses and residents would do 10 sandbags a piece, but if they wanted more, if they needed more, we got it for them. So, so we did various things. We prepared Pip Moyer to shelter residents if we needed to, but we didn't need to. We are hosting meetings for the commissioning of the USS Sioux City at the Naval Academy. That's going to bring 5,000 to 6,000 folks to the city of Annapolis for that. We're working with the Navy, Fire Department, and others in the state for that. Secured 2 unanticipated grants this quarter, one for $44,000 for new hazmat equipment for the fire department, and the other $42,000 for opioid programs, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And that's it.
All right. Any questions? Alderman Payon, Alderwoman Henson? Yes, ma'am.
None from me.
Thank you.
I'm just curious thank you, Madam Chair, with the Bullseye technology, how are we training people to use fire extinguishers now? What will the primary difference be?
Right now, we just show them, how you just point it and sweep it. We don't actually discharge the fire extinguisher because it's too expensive. You can't do it inside, you have to do it outside. If you did discharge it, because it makes such a mess, this you can do anywhere. It's all electronic. It has a fire on the screen, and the extinguisher has a red eye, it's a pointing LED type thing, and it's amazing how it works. It's very cool.
Is there any training on, and I'm sure there is, but my own curiosity on when it's appropriate to just leave? I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's all part of it. So it actually comes with a pull station on a post, and with a phone you can dial 911. And it goes through the whole process. You either pull and leave, or when do you fight it? How you make that decision whether to fight the fire or leave. So it's an update program. It's high tech, and I don't know if you're that familiar with the Annapolis Yacht Club fire, but that fire started in a Christmas tree, and there was a fire extinguisher maybe 5 feet from the Christmas tree, and they actually went past the fire extinguisher down to get a bucket of water to come back, and he just walked past the fire extinguisher in the process. So hopefully we can get this thing, get it going, and go to businesses and train employees how to use it. So it's got some good benefits to it.
You mentioned the large amount of overtime. I know when we were back seems like long ago now, when we were discussing the budget, there was talks of overtime, and that it was often, when departments were understaffed, be it through vacancies or just soft vacancies or hard vacancies, that it was a real decrease in morale at that time. Is overtime looked at something that's an opportunity to earn extra, or is overtime something that really kind of depletes the morale in your department? How is it received by the department?
So, overtime's a balancing act. As a fire chief, you want enough overtime to keep them happy, because it's a nice benefit. So there's enough overtime that they're making enough money, extra money, that they can do nice things for their families, so it helps morale there. But if you have too much overtime, where you're forcing people to work overtime, so with us, we force them for 24 hours. So you hold somebody over for a whole shift, 24-hour shift. So if you work Saturday, and you're expecting to go home Sunday, you get held over 24 hours on Sunday, that's not good for morale. So we try to keep a healthy balance there, so that there's enough that they're happy, but you're not holding anybody or not forcing anybody to work overtime. We've held a couple people, not many so far, but it hasn't been a crisis yet. But right now, people are stepping up, they're working overtime, they want to work the overtime. But every once in a while, you can't find somebody, you got to hold somebody over. So that's the balancing act. And the big thing is if you have a hard vacancy, where you don't have the position filled, there's nobody there, you're actually saving the salary money. It kind of offsets the overtime somewhat. You have the soft vacancy where you're paying the employee and you're paying them, like the pregnancies. Pregnancies for us it's almost a year. From the time they come off the line, out of the field, to the time they go back, it's almost a full year. So you're paying their salary for a full year, and then you're paying overtime to cover the spot over here for a full year. So it adds. And right now we have 2, and the third one started today, so now we have 3. That's alone. There's 3 positions right there. And we got the people in the military. We got 3 people deployed to the military. All these things are beyond my control. I can't plan for that. I can't control it. It happens.
Thank you for being the kind of department that supports people that are serving the country and supports mothers as they do the most important thing that we do with our lives. Thank
Well,
you.
speaking about supporting mothers, so we just created a nursing policy. So if moms want to nurse in the station, they can do that, and it's basically based upon FLSA law. We never had one, quite honest, before. City didn't have one. Napa City didn't have one, so we developed one and sent it to the law office and HR. They all approved it. So now Napa's Fire has a policy on nursing mothers that choose a nurse in the firehouse.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right.
So you want to hear about opioids now?
Yes, we'll call item number ID 28118, OEM update, Office of Emergency Management, new grant-funded opioid programs.
So we have a handout that we're going to give.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that mic on.
Okay, Takia, did you want me? Okay, thank you.
So Deputy Fire Chief Kevin Simmons, Director of Emergency Management. Whether it's opioids, PCP, alcohol, or other addicting substance, Annapolis, like most of the region, is struggling to get this problem under control. And it is a fight. Anne Arundel County demographic data shows that this epidemic transcends gender and race. In particular, according to Anne Arundel County's data, white males between the age of 25 to 35 are the most affected. Now that changes when you look at the city of Annapolis data and all. So it changes in Annapolis where black males above the age of 45 are most affected. So when you look at the data, overall data in the county, white males 25 to 35, if you narrow your focus to the city of Annapolis, age 45 and above are having the problems here. In both cases, the introduction of fentanyl plays a major part in the overdose problem in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. If I could direct you to your handout. Now, just to summarize the problem, and this is published today from the Intel unit in Annapolis Police Department. Up till today, there's 123 total overdoses, give or take. We have some different data in the fire department. We're trying to figure out the differences, but about 123 overdoses. And that compares to, in the county, 776 overdoses that they've had in the county. So when the county calculates their data, they actually use City of Annapolis' data as well. So, but if you break it down to City of Annapolis, and we really need to do that, it's 123. And that's a 6% increase over the 116 from last year this time. If you go down where you see the number red 7, so that's fatal overdoses in the City of Annapolis. We had 7 people who died from drug overdose in the City of Annapolis, and that compares in Anne Arundel County had 134 fatal overdoses. And in the City of Annapolis, this is a 22% increase. It sounds like maybe a lot, but it's only, at this time last year, it was 9. So we're not talking very high numbers. So it's at 22% sounds pretty big, but not as much. So we had 7 now. This time last year, we had 9. If you go to the right side of the page, 2018 overdoses, the drug of choice seems to be heroin and fentanyl mix. And that's 89 overdoses on that. Now, the difference in Annapolis from Anne Arundel County is we're starting to see a resurgence of PCP. And you can see 26 of our overdoses with PCP, and then 8 were unknown. And if you can just turn over the page, this gives you an idea of where our fatal overdoses are. You can see that Primrose Road, Madison Street, Parole Street, Frederick Douglass Street, Janwall Street, Poplar Ave, and Clay Street were all streets where we had fatal drug overdoses this year.
One correction, Deputy Chief, there is no 100 block of Parole Street. The numbers only go up to 58, so it's the unit block.
Okay. I think what the police do when they do this, they just kind of put a 100 block. They don't, put anything specific in there, but I'll take that under advisement.
I know why 58. That's the house I grew up in.
Oh, is it?
But that
Okay.
wasn't where this happened.
And I'll direct you to the 2018 heroin overdose. Now, this is heroin. This doesn't take into account PCP, and that's at the bottom. It's kind of a bar chart. And if you break down the demographic, and this is important when we talk about the programs, Hispanic females, no overdose. Hispanic males, 1 overdose. Black females, 7 overdoses. Black males, 37 overdose. White females, 16. And white males, 28. Now, if you look at the 45 to 49 category and the greater than 50 category, if you put them two together, with black males, it's 23 in that category. And if you look at the 25 to 29 and the 30 to 34, and you put them together, the highest on that category is white male, which is 18. So, again, the demographic in the county, if you looked at it, it shows a white male in between 25 and 35 who has primarily the most problem. And if you look at the City of Annapolis, it's the older African-American male who has a problem. So I talked to former health officer Fran Phillips, and she discussed with me how this problem in Annapolis is affecting a different race and age demographic than what is presented in Anne Arundel County. She agreed that there needs to be a different outreach approach in order to be effective with this segment of our community. The fire department the Mayor's Office and the Office of Emergency Management proposed 3 substance use disorder prevention, not treatment, not enforcement, prevention programs that are geared toward the Annapolis community. All 3 programs were approved by the Health Officer Phillips and funded with an opioid intervention team grant to the tune of $42,332. So, the programs are Your Life Matters, and that's with the fire department, and the lead is Captain Aaron Edwards. He's going to talk a little bit about that. For OEM, it's OD Free Annapolis, an emergency planner, Mary Kate Seborowski, her new married name, is the lead with that. And then a real interesting one is Naptown Anti-Dope Movement, and that was from the Mayor's Office, and it was proposed and it's run and managed by African American Community Liaison Tola Ajay. So I will turn it over to Captain Edwards to talk about the Your Life Matters program. Sir.
Hi, I'm Captain Aaron Edwards, EMS Captain for the Annapolis Fire Department. Basically, when Chief Simmons had brought this to my attention, I was talking with Chief Ortlieb about the problem, and he mentioned something called Your Life Matters, which was started in Florida about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was started by a firefighter, Michael Dunn. And what his project was for was opioid, because they're in a much bigger area. They were having 2,700 overdoses, deaths a year, is what he said. But definitely 2,700 overdoses. I don't know if they had that many deaths. But so he brought this program forward. They also have a human trafficking issue, a significant one. So their Your Life Matters project was helping to reduce the stigma around overdoses and telling people that they have a safe place to go, kind of like our safe station. So he gave me a lot more information about it, and we took that and built this project. And what our goal is going to be is we want to reach out to the communities. We want all the community groups within the city of Annapolis. I'd like to do, I think it was 50, no, it's 50 different community organizations over the next year, where we go and we do a 2-hour session where we teach them how to use Narcan, and we teach them hands-only CPR. And we'll also give them information sheets or cards that have all of our firehouses, all of the firehouse addresses on it. It'll have the different phone numbers that they can contact. We'll teach them how to use the drug deactivation kits. Just give them information about this. And we're not actually going to dispense Narcan right now, but we'll tell them exactly where they need to go to get it with the health department as it stands right now. We're going to try to work the health department in this at some point in time. But we're going to go out, like I said, 50 different community events, just community meetings, as well as 5 community events. And I think we're going to partner up with what was it, Naptown?
Yep, Naptown Anti-Dope.
The Naptown Anti-Dope Movement. We're going to partner up with them when they have their things. We're going to be there to help, and sort of try to get our message across and teach people how to do CPR, teach people how to use Narcan if they come across it. We don't want the first time that they touch Narcan to be in an emergency situation and they have to read the instructions. I want them to be able to rip it open and give it to the patient. That's the most important thing for us. So those are our 2 things, and we have $24,940 for this. Most of that is going to be personnel to staff the different meetings and booths in any larger events. So, and then I have $3,500 for the cards, for advertising, and things of that nature.
Okay.
So how can they help you?
So whatever community events that you guys have, any places of worship, any neighborhood meetings, anything like that you all would want us to be there, get our name out there. As soon as I get the cards, as soon as they clear the money and I get the cards, I will make sure everyone has a card. I'm gonna go out and train all of AFD, and I'm gonna talk to APD and see if I can go and meet with them. And we'll have cards at different businesses throughout the city. We really just need to get this out there so everyone knows exactly who to contact if they need help, or exactly who to contact if they want to get us out to come and talk to them.
All right, couple questions.
Yep.
Or comments. The Chambers Park Summer Concert Series might have another event. I'm not sure. We had several rainouts, and that's usually 600 to 800 people.
Okay.
The other thing is, we're partnering, the City Rec and Parks is partnering with the Chesapeake Children's Museum. They're gonna be doing an event in February, that's centered around the boxer Jack Johnson. And the, Pip Moyer will be hosting a health fair, and I think the Naval Academy midshipmen may be involved as well. So those are two events that come to mind readily. The other thing I want to ask, I know Fran Phillips has gone back to Baltimore. Have you had an opportunity to meet, I feel the same way. Have you had an opportunity to meet with the interim or the acting health officer at this point?
I have not met, but.
I have. You know, she seems to have the same enthusiasm as Fran.
Good,
And we've had 2 meetings, and so far, so good.
great, great. Okay, that's all
So-
my questions for now.
So-
Before we move on, can I check with my colleagues to see?
Sure.
Alderman Payon, do you have any questions? Alderwoman Hicks? Okay, all right.
Oh, well, we've done 2 Narcan leave behinds so far. It was a protocol that we put together, that we started with Ms. Phillips, mentioning it at a meeting, and it sort of just ran and got up to the state, and now it's a protocol for the paramedics. So if we go to a call, we give someone Narcan and they refuse, our EMS duty officer can respond, or can go there, train them, give them a Narcan dosage so that if their family member has another problem, like, another overdose, they are there to give the Narcan. The importance of the Narcan right off the bat is because it gets them breathing again. And that's the biggest problem. If they go too long without breathing, within 6 minutes, their brain starts to die. So, our average run time to get to a call is 5 minutes. So there's a lot of play. There's not much room to play with. So we get that Narcan in them in the first 3 minutes, and now, their brain's gonna still work when we get there. So
Any PSAs on the horizon?
we're gonna have some, I think, we're gonna work.
Yes,
Okay.
actually, the next presentation is gonna talk about that.
Fine,
So is there any other questions
not at this
for
point.
Your Life Matters? Okay, number 2 will be OD Free Annapolis, and that's MK Seborowski.
Say it one more time.
I can say I can't spell it, that's it.
So OD Free Annapolis is a project that's 2 parts. The first one is working, like you said, with PSAs and radio stations. We're working with 3 radio stations. And we like to say in our office, the mayor has a rock star status. So we're going to use that status and have the mayor do these PSAs with various messaging for people that are suffering from substance abuse and addiction, and their family and loved ones. So we're getting the message all across. And then in this PSA, he's going to be promoting a website. That's the second part of this project. This website will host all of the Annapolis specific data. I know there's a lot of confusion between the data that's coming from the county and the city, so this will have Annapolis specific data. It will also have a list of resources for those looking for help for themselves or their loved ones. These resources will include project information for Your Life Matters, any upcoming trainings, events, things like that, and then also the other project, the anti-dope movement. Out of the $42,000 and change, this was $10,000 that we got. And then what we're asking you guys to do is, when you hear these PSAs, promote them. Tell people the website link that you hear in them, share anything that we put out on Facebook, and just come to any of the engagement sessions that we have for this.
So which radio stations are we targeting?
We're doing 3. We're doing WNAV, WRNR, and we are doing one more.
Let me help you.
Yep.
WHUR.
Thank you.
Oh,
WHUR.
okay, good.
So,
One other thing I want to mention as I think about these things, on Thursday night, at 7 p.m. at First Christian Community Church, there will be a launch of the IAF/Anne Arundel County, and I can't think of, it's a consortium of churches that are getting together to form a coalition. I think they have 3 focuses. One is education, one is transportation. I can't remember what the third one is, but they're expecting quite a few people there. Doug, who comes to all the meetings? Smith. Gosh, I had a senior moment. Doug Smith is, I know, in the forefront of this. So possibly you might want to contact him between now and Thursday. That might be another large venue where you have a lot of the churches and the houses of worship who are going to get together and launch this initiative on Thursday night at First Christian at 7. So, okay. Any questions, Alderman Payon? Alderwoman Henson? Okay.
so
All right.
last but not least is Naptown Anti-Dope Movement, which is an exciting program that I'm enthusiastic about, and I'll turn it over to Tola.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I started this, created this program with Will Rowell in the mayor's office. So the mayor's office of community engagement, in partnership with the Office of Emergency Management, have created a citywide community outreach initiative branded the Naptown Anti-Dope Movement. The purpose of this initiative is to proactively bring awareness to the alarming fatal overdose epidemic in the African American community of the city of Annapolis. The mayor's office will coordinate 5 community engagement sessions to dialogue with communities directly impacted by fatal overdoses. These sessions will be held in different community meeting places across the city and will include food, uplifting entertainment, testimonials from survivors of addiction, Narcan demonstration, and presentations from local resource providers. The fatal overdose epidemic plaguing the city of Annapolis must be confronted by a grassroots community coalition led by city officials, local prevention experts, local human service providers, and mental health advocates. Substance abuse addiction is a physical and mental health disease that must be treated with physical, mental, and emotional healing. For the 6, of the 6 fatal overdoses, 4 of them were in Ward 6. I believe 2 were in Ward 3, and 1 was in Ward 2. So for the 5 locations we've chosen so far, Bay Ridge Gardens, Eastport, Robinwood, Woodside Gardens, Staten Center, and I've reached out to the following stakeholders: Alderman Henson, Alderman Charles, Alderman Finlayson, ARPD, City TV, Bishop Coates of Fresh Start, and June Johnson. Latoya Nakangalo, she works with the County Health Department on recovery support. Angel Trainer of the Annapolis Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition. Pastor Menendez and Robinwood Teen Club, the Fire Department. They're going to be doing some of the presentations during the workshop. Tony Strong Pratt, a mental health advocate, and the Housing Authority. Last but last, Terrence Massey of the Not Too Late, and Mayor Buckley. He has taken the pledge already to be anti-dope. One of the goals of this initiative is to get 1,000 residents of the city to sign up, to pledge to be anti-opioid. So with the 5 community engagement sessions, we're going to be reaching out to the community. The first hour will be like a networking session, and the second and third hour will be breakout workshops where we'll have testimonials, peer support, specialists speaking, information about the safe stations, Narcan, hands-free CPR. And there we will be, partnering with the Your Life Matters, OD Free Annapolis. We'll be doing 5 video PSAs that we'll be distributing on the City TV network and online. And we've been approached by AHI and the Family Support Center to do a smaller version of the program. And, well, I've already asked y'all can help, how y'all can help, but I need to speak to Mr. Alderman Payon, see if, he could come to the one at the Stanton Center, and definitely y'all could help spread the word about the other sessions.
All right. I know you'll keep track of all the statistics,
Yes.
being as your degree is in economics. So we're gonna depend on you to make sure you can
I will.
keep us posted on trends and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Any questions from the dais?
No questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that I had the opportunity to speak with you about the Naptown anti-doping, and the question goes out to anyone. I was interested, are there any follow-up or investigations that are done when a person is the victim of a fatal overdose? Do we know how they got the drugs? Do we know what their drug history was like? Do we have anything that paints a picture that we can kind of attack the root there?
Most of the law enforcement aspect of those things.
So there's a monthly meeting with the health department, and they gather all the agencies together. They gather the police department, the health department, and counselors, all sorts of people around the area, and they review fatal overdoses each month. They usually pick 3 or 4, and they go through and see, like, when the last time the person was in jail, have they ever overdosed before, what kind of help they got. So they do kind of review those cases.
Is that the Fatality Review Board?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
We sit on that board, but as far as looking at where they bought the heroin or things like that, that's not looked at in there. That's purely, they'll look back and say, oh, look, they were in an accident when they were 12, had a head injury, and maybe that's something that's leading up. Or they'll say, oh, look, their father passed away, or their mother left, or something like that. And so they're trying to find out triggers that are leading people down this path. But as far as the investigating on when somebody has overdosed, as far as where they're getting the drug or anything like that, we don't do that. That would be, they look into that, and they'll get phone numbers off of
That's right.
phones.
Yeah, we'll look at the phone numbers, we'll talk to family and friends like that, see if there was a purchase made in one of the communities, stuff like that. It's very difficult to do a lot of times.
Okay. It's good to know that there's coordination there and that the effort is being teamed up with a law enforcement component, because one person may overdose, but it's probably multiple people that were exposed to that same drug that maybe had a different reaction to it. So if we could kind of root it out at the drug itself, maybe that would have a even larger scale impact on trying to address the problem. I also had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Ajayi about your video PSAs. One that I was particularly interested in, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see if it's viable or not, was using drugs has been like popularized as something that's now cool. And you had mentioned maybe doing one where you have entertainers that kind of, because you catch entertainers in moments where they speak the truth. When they are speaking about their own children or their own families or their real lives outside of the movies and the music that they do, they have a very different take on drug use than they do sometimes when they are in their music and movies.
Yeah.
So are you still looking at maybe doing something that kind of goes for the truth in music and movies on drug use?
Definitely.
I think that would be something that if you made it available on the internet too, might be something that would have a widespread appeal, because when you catch them being their real self, they often are very different than when they are being their entertainment version self. And it is very destructive when people take the fantasy and the fiction for reality and model their lives after something that is not real.
Definitely. With the 5 videos, that concept was going to be geared towards like a younger demographic. So like when we do the outreach to the high school, middle school, they identify mostly with the artists and rappers, you know. So definitely we'll still do that.
That's good to hear that that's still something you're considering. Mr. Ajayi, I didn't hear you mention what your budget was for the Naptown anti-dope movement.
Sorry. Our budget was roughly $6,900. $3,500 was going to go to graphic designs, the PSAs, promotional materials, and then the T-shirts, and then the other $3,400 or so was going to go to materials for the community engagement session, the DJ, the food, the music, and drinks.
And everybody's budget has been approved by the health department.
And then Captain Edwards, in your budget, you mentioned that 24,000 of it was gonna be personnel, that it was, oh no, it was mostly personnel.
Mostly personnel.
What, is that new hires, or is that overtime costs?
That'll
or
be
was that-
overtime, there'll be
Okay.
overtime costs for people that we currently have in the field.
And then why is it that we are not dispensing Narcan with the presentations?
In order to do that, we would have to go through the health department and have the health department sign off on all of our trainers. The health department's training initially was 30 to 40 PowerPoint slide presentation that was roughly an hour and a half. They've narrowed it down a little bit, but we haven't seen that one yet. It seems as though that might be a little much, and then getting the actual naloxone from the health department could be difficult. We have talked to the health department, and they were, when Ms. Phillips was there, they were willing to partner up with us to some extent. I haven't met the new person, but they were willing to come out to some of the events. So if I know that we have 10, event that has 10 people, or 10 people are definitely going to show up, but they want to take Narcan home, we probably can set something up with with whomever's in there now, or Jasmine from the health department, who's the main person. So we're working on getting that portion.
I understand. Ms. Zafarowski, is that okay? I just wanted to, our mayor you describe him as a rock star. He is like the commodity that we have that's not a line item on the budget, that's like, super valuable. So kudos to you and your OD-free Annapolis initiative for recognizing that and finding a way to kind of capitalize on that and incorporate that into the whole addressing the opioid crisis in Annapolis. So I was encouraged to see that be a part of it too, and to hear him on the radio and in those ads. I think that'll be well received.
And hopefully we'll have him out at some of these engagement sessions and trainings as well.
Excellent.
All right. Two more questions. Number one, have you reached out to Anne Arundel County Public Schools, or are we strictly dealing with the county health department?
They have a program, Not My Child, and it's another program that they have, what's the name? Right Under Your Nose.
Never heard that one, okay.
Yeah, that's where they actually kind of go around a child's room, and it's evidence right in front of your face that they're using that you may not recognize. And they just kind of go through a room and point this out and point that out. It could be indicators that your child is using.
Is that going to be a component possibly of any of these three programs?
It could be. I wouldn't rule it out, but right now we have not talked about that.
Might be something you want to explore.
The way I'm looking at these programs is this is out-of-the-box thinking programs. I mean, we have the CAN, Not My Child. It's been very successful, and it's a great program. Right Under Your Nose, very successful, great program. But again, like we talked about earlier, we have some special demographics here in Annapolis that are different, that we have to take a different approach to. And that was the whole reasoning behind this, this grant and the programs that we're pushing forward.
Okay. I mean, I don't know, grandparents who raising children may not know what they see. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because there are quite a few grandparents who raising children. They may not recognize it themselves. I don't know. That's just another tool in the toolbox. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
A lot of those videos, specifically the Right Under Your Nose, is from State's Attorney Wes Adams. That's one of his initiatives, and it's a YouTube video. So I have no problem, and I think we'd all agree, we can put a link to that under the resources page for the website, and then we can disseminate it that way.
Fine, sounds great. The other thing, following up on Alderwoman Henson's point, we have these locations for these addresses of these fatal overdoses, and I'm just wondering, because we had tried to do that, connect some information a couple of months ago on another issue, but tried to find some sort of profile when it comes to the 7 locations that you've listed. Was age, whether in foster care, you know, what grade were they in, what the home life might have been. I mean, just something that we can possibly hang our hats on if there's some commonality, I guess. And I'm not talking about digging deep into somebody's personal life necessarily, but there may be some things there out of 4 of the 7 that might ring true.
I think we should do that. I work closely with the analyst in the police department who's kind of great at this, and I kind of asked him, we sat down and we had a conversation. I said, why is it odd that people 45 and older in Annapolis and African American, why do you think that is? And we came to the conclusion that many of these folks are functioning heroin addicts. So they use heroin, they go to work every day, they don't inject, but they snort it, they sniff it. And they typically, when they're using regular heroin, they're good to go. But now with the introduction of fentanyl in the heroin, and they start snorting that, and that's when they OD. So they were functioning addicts, and now with the introduction of fentanyl in there, they don't know what they're getting, and then they wind up ODing. We need to dig deeper and try to figure out the commonalities, as you say, and with these opioid deaths, or these overdose deaths.
This is just a crazy question, but are we looking at workplaces, businesses, as far as being a possible avenue to explore? Yes.
Yeah, I know that the health departments hit a few of the hotels within the city limits. One of my goals, we've had a few businesses that we've had 1 or 2 overdoses at. So we would go to those businesses and we would say, hey, you know, we'll train you in this, we'll train you in CPR. And with that, we would like at some point to be able to take Narcan and say, here you go. You now have some Narcan you can give if this happens again. And we're hoping to get in the rest of the hotels and places. I mean, and a lot of them are just outside the city limits that we've been running to a lot.
Okay. All right.
It's
Okay.
a lot of ground to cover.
Certainly, but you can make the most of the funds you have. It sounds like you're coming at it from many different ends, and so that's important.
So hopefully, a year from now, we're sitting here talking about, you know, how we put a dent in this problem. Hopefully.
Well, sounds like you're well on your way, and I'm sure you'll see some things as you go along that you want to add to your programming, or you know, decrease in your programming or increase or whatever. So it's always, I guess, going to be a work in progress. So great. Do you plan on coming back to us quarterly or some sort of measurable point to let us know how it's going, or?
We can add something when the fire department and police department come back with their quarterly reports. We can certainly give you an update.
Okay, great. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you all so very, very, very much. And if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Thank you.
Just have one question.
Yes, sir.
The quarterly report, is that too long, too short, too much information, not enough information?
Well, no.
Something else you're looking for?
No, I mean, I think it's right. You've got to divide it well.
I don't want to throw too much small stuff at you. I want you to have some information of what we're doing.
No, I think, for me, you can never give me too much. That's just me. But for someone else, they may want something very short.
I know
But-
that you like to read and write a lot. I don't have that much free time, but
Is
I
this,
charge by the word.
is this all things that the public can see?
yes, it's posted, right? Is that, when that report we loaded up, won't be loaded up? Just nothing in There's no HIPAA violations or nothing like that in there.
I was gonna say, if it is, then if we had it ahead, then the public could have the benefit of it too. I know sometimes when we do our, reports by committees at the council meetings, if we reference something, people will go back to the agenda to try and pull it up and see if they can kinda see what we saw.
Another question I had, we talk a lot about Narcan. Have you ever seen Narcan? Have you actually seen Narcan? The whole-
I've seen our Annapolis Fire Department bring someone back to life with
Maybe we can,
Narcan.
maybe no, next meeting. There's actually some of that
There's
first
some
aid
in that
bag
That's
behind
fine.
you.
Bag if you want to see
Okay.
it.
If you ever
But
want
the,
to see it. We
pull
talk
it
about it
out.
a lot. I just
Pull
wanted
it
to give
out.
us all one.
The other thing is, question, I know we've had, and I can't remember what the situation is, poster contests or something like that for the younger kids. Has that been explored, or you think that
Oh,
won't
yeah,
work,
that's-
or?
That's well underway. That's one of the favorite things that my staff loves to do. As a matter of fact, they went around to the schools today, collected the posters. This is a joint collaboration with OEM and the fire department for Fire Prevention Week. And September is Preparedness Month, so they kind of come together in the middle. And they do a poster contest, and we expand at least one school every year. Do you remember the schools?
I know you did St. Mary's, yeah.
St. Mary's, Martin's,
The same as Carroll.
Eastport.
The same as last year plus one.
What's the one in Tyler at? Tyler Heights.
You might want to revisit Tyler Heights, and Eastport. I'm not quite sure in Ward 6. I believe the elementary students do go to Tyler Heights and Eastport Elementary. So that might be a targeted area for your poster contest, since we're looking at these 7 from recently, these fatals recently.
Right, they are. Eastport and Tyler Heights are one.
Okay,
Yeah, so they participate.
all right. Poplar should be Germantown, and Parole should be Walt S. Mills Parole. And of course, let me see, let me take my glasses off. Lafayette, oh, that's Clay Street. Lafayette Avenue,
Wow.
Franklin Street.
I see Newtown, I see East Cortez Harbor House, I see Robinwood, and then that's the only cluster I didn't know.
Lafayette Avenue, West Street. Yeah.
It's the same one that the EMS, okay, okay.
So Madam Chair, what I suggest, maybe next meeting, we can do a demonstration for everybody to see.
That's a great idea.
We'll do that.
Okay. Okay. Good. Chief Stokes has suggested that for our next, meeting, we'll have a demonstration.
I know we have a large audience watching us. We can.
Absolutely, we do. If we have something important to say, they will watch.
I think it'd be good. It'd be good.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
All
you,
right.
good evening.
Next item on the agenda, legislation before committee, 0-36-18, public peace noise prohibition for the purpose of making technical corrections to the City of Annapolis environmental and motor vehicle noise standards. We have 2 attachments before us, noise prohibition updates ordinance and the staff report and finance impact study. Okay, we can begin discussion. Has everybody had a chance, an opportunity to review what's before us?
I have, Madam Chair, I was disturbed to hear that the police department no longer has a device that they can measure.
Oh, the decibel device?
Yes, and it's kind of important if we're dealing with this. I don't think it's an expensive piece of equipment. I think maybe we need to look at that at least quickly, and although it's not part of this legislation, that we ought to see what we can do to make sure they have a functioning, an ability to enforce this ordinance.
Makes a lot of sense, Alderman Pale. Lieutenant Kraus, you want to come forward and maybe speak to the decibel device?
Okay, I'm personally not that familiar with the device, to be
Okay.
honest with you, because I haven't been working that area in a long time. I know we had a device. If you're saying we don't have it anymore, I don't know where it went, but that's something I can look into.
That'd be
But
great.
I know we used to have a device, at
Well,
least.
that's what I was told when I called, you know, a noise complaint in.
It had
that,
been
they can
probably-
come by and try to get things under control, but technically really couldn't enforce it because
Gotcha.
they didn't, no longer had anything to measure the noise level with.
Because I know we had a device, and this is going back probably about 7 or 8 years ago, well, we got a device, but where it is or when the last time it was used, that I couldn't tell you. But I will look into it for you and find out, get an answer for you.
Yes,
Thank you.
great, thank you. Alderman Payon, any other comments?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Alderwoman
I
Henson?
mean, there's nothing wrong with
No,
what's here. I'd certainly support it.
thank you.
It's my understanding that it's just kind of cleaning it up, that the enabling COMAR regulation was moved around and some changes were made there, so this is just cleaning it up in line with that. I don't see anything that would change it materially. It all looks kind of cosmetic, if you will, just different code references on the first page, and then some other things on the second page as well, swapping out some language for some other language, so I don't see anything that would make me need to take a deeper look at it or have many reservations.
Okay, all right. Any other comments for the good of the order? Are we ready to vote on this piece of legislation?
I move that we recommend favorably to the council as a whole.
Second.
3618.
All right.
I would second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will recommend this piece of legislation favorably at our next city council meeting, which is next Monday. All right, do we have anything else before us, this auspicious body this evening? If not, Alderman Payon,
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. As long as you don't make me sit here for 12 minutes.